You are listening to the Mark Guzman Podcast Experience. So the Blue Devils Drum and Bugle Corps, based out of Concord, California, has been performing all over the world for 60 years, winning a total of 18 world championships and in the Drum Corps International. With their victory, the Blue Devils continue their run of excellence, in which they have finished in the top two at the DCI the past 7 years straight and clinched their seventh undefeated season. Congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Welcome to my guest, Justin Heimbecker, the Blue Devils Drum and Bugle Corps CEO.
Thanks for having me.
So how long have you been the CEO?
Well, I've been the CEO of BD Performing Arts, which is the parent organization under which the Blue Devils exist. I've been the CEO for almost 2 years now.
Okay. And you guys are based out of Concord, California, correct?
Correct.
Okay. So it was a very easy drive for you to come over to Richmond.
Yeah, not too bad. Not too bad.
And then, so what are the everyday responsibilities look like for you?
Well, for BD Performing Arts, it's a pretty large organization. In addition to the Blue Devils A Corps, which is the one you were referencing with our recent championship and real good run of excellence, we also have a B Corps, which is a high school age program, a C Corps, which is a middle school age program. We have 3 winter guards, which rehearse on the academic calendar. One is high school, one is middle school, the other is a special needs specific program. We have a drum line that's based in Southern California. Fundraising, merchandising, bingo operations, you name it. We have a wind symphony also locally. We run clinics around the country. So everyday responsibilities, every day is a new adventure.
So you guys are huge then.
Yeah, we try to serve as many students as possible for as many different backgrounds and experiences as possible.
Okay. So what do the age groups look like in all these different programs?
Yeah, we try to focus each program into a certain range. So the A Corps is really a college level program. Those performers are about 20, 21 years old. They audition internationally. They are the cream of the crop, top 1% in the world. And then as we work our way through the different programs, each of them has a different focus. The B Corps is more of a high school level program that's West Coast California based. The C Corps is Bay Area based, up to about 14, 15 years old.
Okay.
So we try to really make sure that each program has a specific purpose and a specific student that it's serving. And I think that leads to excellence when you have that kind of focus.
Okay. Do you play any instruments yourself?
I do. I actually have a music education degree.
Okay. What do you play?
Brass instruments, low brass specifically, trombone, tuba, euphonium.
Okay.
But when you get that degree, you kind of have to learn everything, to at least to some level.
Yeah. What's your favorite one to play?
I'd say trombone. Trombone.
Is there a reason why?
It's very versatile. You can play it in jazz and symphonic. It's got a unique sound to it, obviously with a slide, you have unique opportunities to do different things.
Yeah.
Yeah, it makes it fun.
Okay. So let's talk about the Blue Devils here. And you guys have been around for 60 years.
Correct.
Like, it's a long time. And I was on the website earlier today checking out a few videos, and the website's really impressive. You guys have like 900 videos on the website in the archive, 70,000 photos, and some great videos of the past. So you guys started in 1957.
Correct. The organization started in 57. The Drum and Bugle Corps started in 1971. It sort of evolved out of the early days.
Okay.
And from there, it's really just taken off, and it's really become a worldwide brand. It's the most powerful brand of its kind in the world. When people think the Blue Devils, they think excellence, they think innovation, they think a standard, and that's really important. That no matter what we're doing, that's at the foundation of everything.
Now, you're from Pennsylvania, correct?
Correct.
And how did you end up with this organization?
I grew up in Pennsylvania near Philadelphia and marched in a different Drum and Bugle Corps on the East Coast, several in fact, and was working with a similar organization on the East Coast. My predecessor, David Gibbs, has been the CEO here for about 26 years. And he called me up and said, what do you think of moving out west and working through a transition in terms of leadership of the organization? And so here me and my wife moved across the country and get to live in the Concord area, in the Bay Area, and
How do you like the Bay Area?
it's
Do you
fantastic.
still miss home though?
Always, always. I miss the cheesesteaks.
Yeah. I hear they're the best over there.
Yes.
Are they truly the best, or is that just a lot of hype?
No, there's no hype. It's real.
So what's the difference though? What
uh,
what what makes it over there?
the roll.
The roll.
It's all about the roll.
I'll have to go out and try it. Let's talk about what sets the Blue Devils apart from all the other drum corps.
Well, I don't know. It's so much of setting apart. I think that each organization, each corps has its own identity and its own philosophies and values. And I think if there's one thing that I would say about the Blue Devils through the years is consistency, consistent leadership, consistent philosophies, staff, standards, and that leads to continued success. Um, we really look at competitive success. I know the outside world looks at championships and that's how they measure success. We really look at that as a byproduct of doing things really well. And the real focus is on the experience that our performers and our members have, the life lessons that we're teaching them that they can take with them after they're in our program. All of our programs are youth based. So when you're 21 and older, you can't do it anymore.
Okay.
The goal, though, is that we can send them out into the world, into whichever industry they're going to go into, whether it be a lot of teachers, a lot of professional dancers and performers. However, we have every industry covered. We have engineering, we have lawyers, we have doctors, you name it. And the goal is that they can take the skills that they learned about innovation and excellence and perseverance and all of those key lessons and apply them to whatever they're doing and hopefully make the world a better place in whatever way they so choose. So that's the real goal of the organization. Winning championships, that's great. It's an indicator that we're doing some good things, but that's really a byproduct of focusing on the member experience and making sure that that's quality.
Okay. Now, how do you find students and kids to begin in your programs?
Some of it's recruiting. We do have, as you mentioned, we have a great media team, social media presence. We have a video team that follows us through the whole summer and does a whole summer documentary series that we release every week through the summer tour across the
Every
country.
week?
Yeah. So as we travel across the country, I think it's Thursday, we release another episode that covers what happened in the past week.
Oh, that's great.
And so some of that, yes, we do recruiting, we do advertising, we let people know that we exist and we're here. And because when you're over 21 years old, you can't participate, we call that aging out.
Okay.
And those students can no longer be in it, so we have to fill those spots anyway. And we have a very high rate of age out relative to other groups because we have some of the older age performers. With that said, anybody who's in this industry, they kind of gravitate toward the group that fits them. So there are groups on the East Coast or the Midwest or the Southeast or you name it that have certain identities, certain styles, certain ways of operating. And the performers, the candidates, really gravitate toward the programs that they're going to fit into. And so we have an audition process during the Thanksgiving time. And we'll probably have about 600 to 700 students from around the world come into California. And they'll audition for about 75 spots. We also do satellite auditions in Texas, in SoCal, in Oregon, and video auditions for those who can't make it. And so we really try to make it as easy as possible to take that first step of an audition process.
So you have 700 kids, you said?
Yeah, it's a lot of people trying.
Wow.
Yeah.
So, and you guys accept about 10%, so 75 total.
Yeah, in any given year, approximately.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's pretty competitive.
Yeah, that's impressive too. Now, do you work specifically with certain high schools, certain middle schools, and elementary schools, or it's pretty much just general?
It's really open-ended. We do have relationships with certain schools, mainly because our instructional staff, which is just made up of incredible, talented, committed, dedicated people, many of them work with schools or they're band directors in their full-time jobs, and they help us and teach with the Blue Devils during the summer months. So naturally you have some relationships, but we try to keep it as open-ended as possible because we also look at the audition experience as an educational experience as well. So if we can even in a short weekend, if we can teach that student a few things, even if they're not going to be in the Blue Devils this year, and we can send them home with some new knowledge or new skills, then we feel like we're still serving the mission.
Okay. Now, are most of the high school members in their schools band and drum corps as well?
Yes, I'd say 99% are in high school band, most are in college band, and this is an added program to their repertoire and their calendar.
Okay. So for someone who's young, who might be listening to this, what are some of the steps they need to do to prep themselves um, to get involved with the Blue Devils?
I'd say keep learning, keep doing things. We run educational clinics all over the country and even the world. Go to those camps. Go to similar camps like that. Get in front of amazing teachers. Try to get into groups where you're not the best player and the best performer. Surround yourself with people who are better than you, and you'll rise up with them. Um, I think that's the best advice I can give is to keep going at it, keep challenging yourself. Once there's sort of a rule of thumb in the activity that if you're the best person in the group, it's time to move on to the next group
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
keep challenging yourself and keep developing. So that would be my best advice for somebody who's interested in maybe looking at the Blue Devils or a similar group someday.
Yeah, and that's a good lesson just for life, period. I mean, you see that in business, you see it in marketing, you see it in so many different aspects of life. If you're the best, you need to move up and be with other people that are better than you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's one of those skills that we hope that they take with them beyond their time with us.
Okay, so it's much more than just playing instruments, winning competitions. It's really getting down to the deep core values that people or the students can learn and take with them afterwards.
Absolutely.
Now, when the members age out, what's their usual next step at that point?
Well, depends on where they are in life. Some of them have already earned degrees before they come on the summer tour with us, and they're job hunting while they're on tour.
Already
they're-
earning degrees by 2021?
yeah, they're right in that range.
Wow.
And so I know we had a few people get calls during the summer tour saying, "Yeah, you got the job." So as soon as they got home in August, they started as a band director or as a grad student or whatever their next step is.
That's
So
impressive.
whatever their industry is, again, hopefully we can just propel them to challenge them to take it to another level.
Now, do you see most of the members staying within within the music industry?
Um, I'd say it's more than half. I think they stay involved in some capacity, whether they go and teach a local high school band wherever they live, even though they're not doing that as a 9 to 5 job. So I think it's inside of you once you get the bug. It's tough to get out of it.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of the people stay engaged in some capacity. And I always try to say, even if you can't do that, if life doesn't allow that, you have kids, you have jobs, we get it. Just come to a show, buy a T-shirt, donate, cheer us on at some point. Stay engaged at some level to remember what got you to where you are now.
Okay.
Remember where you came from.
Yeah. Now, is there income opportunity for a lot of the members? Like, are they paid or is it really volunteer?
That's a popular question.
Okay.
They actually pay a tuition.
Okay.
So they audition for their position, and then they pay a tuition to be able to perform. We are a nonprofit. Basic rule of thumb: the organization picks up about 2/3 of the cost of what it takes to get the whole show on the road.
And I would imagine that's very expensive.
Yes, yes, and every program has a different budget. But the A Corps has about a dozen vehicles going down the road for 8 weeks straight. Instructors, equipment, travel, insurance, you name it. We feed them 4 times a day. So feeding 200 people 4 times a day, that's a
It's
challenge unto
costly.
itself.
Yeah.
So we pick up about 2/3 of that cost through our fundraising efforts. That's selling T-shirts, asking people for donations, corporate partnerships and friendships, as well as we have a bingo fundraiser in Concord and in the area. And then the performer, is responsible for about 1/3. So they have to go through their own fundraising and working a job in their part time in the winter, and that's a big piece of the commitment to do this.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now you said working. So do you require that some of the older members also get a job?
Well,
Or
let me back up.
okay.
They come in for auditions in the Thanksgiving timeframe, November, December, and then we'll rehearse a few weekends through the spring where everybody flies in or drives in. We'll spend a weekend rehearsing Friday night, Saturday, Sunday.
And do you do that rehearsal out of Concord?
Usually, yeah, yeah. Um, and then we don't really see them for a while. We tell them to go back home to wherever that may be, finish school, raise your money, do what you have to do, keep practicing, keep getting in shape, and then we really convene around May 1st, right in that area. And from there, they're going 9 to 9 every day, 6 days a week, and we do that for about 3 or 4 weeks to get the whole program on the field.
Wow. So 12 solid hours, 6 days a week.
Yeah, we'll just take breaks for meals. We give them one day off per week to rest their bodies and kind of get away and be human.
Yeah.
Go sightseeing, go to a movie, whatever that may be. And then we get on the road for 8 weeks, and it's the same thing. We'll rehearse all day. We'll go to a stadium that evening to perform for anywhere from 3 to 25,000 people, and get on the bus after that show, drive through the night to the next city, and do it all over again.
Okay. I played drums and guitar and piano back in middle school. And the biggest crowd I actually ever played in front of, maybe 10, 15 people. I cannot imagine 3 to 25,000 people
Yeah,
at a stadium.
it's a pretty cool experience.
Yeah, I bet.
Yeah, to have 25,000 people give you a standing ovation, to look at the faces of the performers while that's happening, that's one of the real treats of doing what I and my colleagues get to do.
Yeah. Now, with all that activity, there must be a fair amount of conditioning.
Absolutely.
And what are some of the requirements that the members need to do in terms of conditioning?
Physical conditioning?
Yes.
We do have a health and wellness team. It's about a dozen professionals of various specialties that do everything they can to set everybody up for success and in terms of physical preparation and prevention. And they also help to get these students back on the field if they do have an injury or a sickness or an ailment. But in terms of conditioning, there have been some studies done through the years that monitor the energy output of a performer in mid-performance, and it's similar to that of a marathon runner in mid-marathon.
Interesting.
In terms of the oxygen, the energy, the adrenaline, you name it, it's very physically demanding. So these are athletes. They're musical athletes is a term that we often use in the industry.
And you wouldn't even think that. Many people think it's simply about playing the instrument and being very talented at that. But there's a lot more that goes into it.
Yeah, because if you can't move the right way effortlessly, there's no way that sound is going to sound good coming out of your instrument while you're trying to move that way. So really the movement side of the performance aspect has really grown, and the demand has grown over the years, where it's a very physical performance, and the music is on top of that, because if you can't move, there's no way you're going to be able to play.
Correct. And your performances are pretty elaborate too.
Yeah, and it's about 11 and a half minutes for the Drum and Bugle Corps. But we have props, we have all different equipment. They cover all 100 yards of the football field. They're going as fast as, in excess of 200 beats per minute. So if you think 3 or 4 steps per second, when you do the math on that and you put it over 11 and a half minutes, that's quite a bit of energy.
Yeah.
Sometimes I get tired watching them. So when they're rehearsing that for 12 hours a day, it's pretty taxing. You're going to get into good shape if you do that 12 hours a day for 10 weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So lots of cardio then.
Lots of cardio.
So in the off season, so I assume you guys go through on season and off seasons, correct?
Mm-hmm.
In the off season, it's really important for them to stay in shape.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah, and we have nutritionist plans. We have an off-season conditioning plan, so that by the time they get to us in early May.
What does the nutrition plan look like?
Well, it's unique for each individual. If somebody has a certain body type or a certain genetic makeup, they might need more protein or less protein. They might need to gain weight or lose weight or add muscle, or a lot of the issues that we have are flexibility. So we'll tell them in November or December or January, You need to stretch that hamstring every day for the next 4 months, or you're going to have a problem in the summertime. And then it's really on them to be a professional and to take that information and use it to set themselves up for success.
So you recommend a lot of yoga, probably
Whatever,
for flexibility.
however they want to do it. Yeah.
Okay, so that's really neat in that a lot of these students and kids. I mean, what's the youngest age that you have right now?
In the A Corps,
Yeah,
about 18.
18.
Yeah.
So at a young age, you're already making them well, not dependent, but you're putting responsibilities on them to really hold themselves to a much higher standard in the off season.
Yes, absolutely. We treat them like adults, professionals, and I think that goes a long way in they reciprocate that. The performers do. They appreciate that autonomy and that independence and that accountability. And as a result, you end up with a very professional culture within the organization.
Yeah. Now, what are some of the biggest venues?
Some of the NFL stadiums that we perform in, the international championships, the world championships are in Indianapolis at Lucas Oil Stadium in the middle of August. We perform at the Alamo Dome in San Antonio, the Rose Bowl. The big event that we produce out here is at Stanford University at Stanford Stadium. We go to the Falcons Stadium in Atlanta. We probably have about 30 performances over the course of the summer. Some high schools, a lot of colleges, and a couple of pro stadiums along the way.
And I understand there's also competitions with other drum and bugle corps, correct?
Correct. So when we go to these stadiums, it's not a halftime show. We are the show. There's no sport happening that we're squeezing between or before or after. So you might have anywhere from 6 to 40 similar ensembles competing through the day, competing through the day. And each of them gets about 17 minutes on the field to get on and get off the field and put their performance on, and it's judged. And at the end, they announce the scores, and so it's an event unto itself. So when I say those 25,000 people are showing up, that's specifically to watch this activity.
Wow.
Yeah.
Now, how are the groups judged?
We usually have a judging panel of 8 people, give or take. Eight captions is the word that we use, and each of them focuses solely on their caption. So one judge might be looking totally at the movement. Another one might be listening completely for brass, for percussion, for color guard, which is the flags and the dance auxiliary piece. And each of them kind of has tunnel vision on their section, and they put down their numbers. They don't know what anybody else's numbers are, and then they submit those numbers, and the formula tells you what the final score is.
Okay.
So
now, what are
in the event of a tie, it's a total coincidence.
So they're looking for maybe symmetry in the performance.
There's really two sections that each of them focuses on: content and achievement.
Okay.
And one is what is the group being asked to do? It's really judging the staff and how the construction of the program is designed. And then the other half is how are they performing? Is it excellent? So there's 2 numbers that each judge puts down, and then that all filters into that scoring system and gives you a final number out of 100.
Okay. And right now you guys have 7 undefeated titles.
Correct. After the summer, 7.
Yeah, that's amazing. Congratulations.
Yeah, they're impressive.
Yeah. Well, I would imagine, I mean, working from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. 6 days a week, the results show.
Well, and the really unique part about it is that within the industry, I mentioned there are many groups like us. Everybody's doing that. So we're all pushing each other in a really healthy way, in an artistic way, to keep pushing to have more excellence, try new things, be innovative. And as a result, the activity keeps evolving. You keep having new things, new levels. Every year, people say, I can't believe it can get better than this. And then it does.
Yeah.
And that happens with several groups, a lot of them. So it's kind of exciting in that regard because there's no defense. So we compete against each other, but I look at it more as golf, where we'll take our swing and you'll take yours, and good luck to you. And I hope we don't get wind in either of our swings. And in that regard, it's a very collegial atmosphere, where we can congratulate each other and give each other kudos on different ideas and different things that we've achieved. So it's not, we talk about competition. It's not cutthroat. It's not, there might be a rivalry in that groups end up in the same grouping of placements year after year after year,
Hmm.
but it's not a rivalry in that we're getting into fights in the parking lot. It's quite the opposite.
Okay.
We're congratulating each other and saying, all right, I'll see you tomorrow. I'll see you next year,
Yeah.
and having fun with it.
And I would imagine they are trying to do very similar things as what you guys are doing. And just, it's all really about the students and the members and really
Absolutely.
helping them develop into better people in life.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. That's
Okay.
consistent.
When not competing, do you do unofficial off-season competitions with other rivalries, or do you, um, maybe just get together certain members and just put events and shows together?
It's a good
Just that
question.
random.
It's really difficult for us to get a group like the A Corps together, Blue Devils A Corps, because they're from all over the world. And when they come in, and we finish the world championships, and everybody goes to the airport and goes back to their real lives. And other than maybe a banquet or an event here or there, we're never going to be together again. So it's kind of unique in that way.
I
What
would
we do
imagine
have-
it's very hard, and sorry to interrupt, but I would
Sure.
imagine it's very hard and takes a lot of skill and talent to get together once a year for a season with a lot of different people and just connect.
Yes. Yeah. And that's a process. A lot of it comes down to culture and preparation and expectation. And that's why our staff is so good at what they do, because they're just excellent at making sure that that process is successful. But what we do have as part of, I mentioned BD Performing Arts, which is the umbrella organization over which these programs live. We do have an arm of that called BD Entertainment, and that's actually for those students that are either performing with us or recently performed with us. We do basically events for hire. So the 49ers drumline, Niner Noise, that's us.
Okay.
The Warriors Aftershock drumline, that's us. We do corporate gigs all over the world. We're going to Las Vegas in a few weeks with 32 performers to go open a big corporate event, and then we're doing the same thing in Berlin the month after.
Wow.
And Thailand, South Africa, Japan, you name it. So that part of the organization continues to grow and evolve and morph as the world looks for musicians and performers and things of that nature. So it's a unique opportunity for us to allow us to reconvene certain groups of people. But that group that performed all summer, it kind of evaporates the next day,
Okay.
which is bittersweet.
Yeah. Now, when a member ages out, do they have an opportunity to then jump into the entertainment side?
Yeah, theoretically, if there's an opportunity, absolutely.
Okay. Now, you mentioned A Corps a few times, and there's several of them, correct? There's A, B, C, D Corps?
Within our organization,
Yes.
ABC.
Okay, ABC.
Mhm.
Now, what are the differences between ABC?
It's really an age group. A is that college level experience. B is more of a high school. C is sort of a middle/high school program. And each of them are age appropriate in their instruction, in how much they tour and travel, how much they rehearse. But really, we try to make some scope and sequence and vertical alignment between those programs educationally. And we take those philosophies that have made the A Corps so successful over all these years and make sure that permeates every single program, so that student, that 7-year-old in the C Corps, is still getting a Blue Devil quality experience for their age group. And that's
Okay.
the goal.
Okay. And then do you mix up the groups sometimes?
We get together every so often, and they'll play together. They'll perform together. We have a thing called Family Day,
Okay.
which is usually in the middle of June, and we'll spend a whole day together. And it's where we premiere each group's summer performance that they've been working on, and they'll get together and play a few songs and exercises together. And I think it's really neat. We call it the Blue Devils family, and it's really neat not only for the student in the C Corps or the B Corps to look up to what's possible, but it also allows the A Corps student to reflect a little bit on where they've come from as they look at a younger student looking up at them, and it gives them that sense of responsibility to pay it forward. So it's really it's an incredible day to watch everybody react to that, and to see how the role that they play in the family might change over time, but it's important that they fulfill that role.
And I would imagine one of the biggest benefits to this is all the lifelong relationships you build.
Absolutely. Yeah. Some of my best friends are people that I marched with or taught with or worked with. And I think that's true of anybody in the drum corps activity. It's because you go through this experience that can't be matched. It's so particular and it's so intense, and you're just immersed in this thing. And so when you go out of it, whenever you see anybody that you went through that with, it's a reunion. So yeah, lifelong friendships, no doubt.
Yeah. Now, let's go back to the practices.
Sure.
Okay. What does it take? What does it entail to coordinate all these different practices and the routines?
We have for each program we have what we call a program coordinator, and that person has a team of people that they work with to prepare each aspect of the production. So a program coordinator is working with the brass arranger, the percussion arranger, who's going to compose and write the music, along with the person who is putting the movements where the people are on the field at what time and what those movements look and feel like relative to what you're hearing. You always want to see what you hear and hear what you see. All the way down to the people who develop the props and what they need to be and what purpose they need to serve, and how that fits into the electronic amplification, and where we're going to put microphones and integrate those into the props, and the uniform and the flag colors, and you name it. Every aspect is looked at holistically as a package, and it's very organic. So that program coordinator is the person who really herds all the cats, if you will,
Yeah.
and make sure that everybody's got that purpose and that goal in mind, and kind of drives to that. And when you have a really talented team, really special things happen. And we're fortunate to have exactly that with every one of our programs.
How long does it take for all this to really come together each season?
We usually finish on the last day. The process starts usually before the season's over. So our team was already thinking and marinating on some ideas through the summer. When you're traveling on buses all day, you talk, you think.
I would imagine also at the competitions, in the middle of the competitions, you're thinking, "Oh, here's what we can do next year,"
Always.
and add to it.
Always. And sometimes that comes internally, and sometimes that comes from a competitor. And an idea is sparked, and you say, okay, I can take that and do this now. And that's where that innovation comes from. But really, through the entire fall season, they're working on the concept and the colors and starting to pick the literature. And through the spring season, they start to develop the music. And when you have one piece in progress, all of the other pieces are still moving. So we don't necessarily write the music without an idea of what that's going to mean for the visual and the movement.
Okay, that's very interesting. So the music is not done before and not necessarily done after, but in the mix.
In concert. Yeah. Yeah. There's every aspect has to be holistically looked at. So you can imagine it's a very, very organic process of trial and error. But as long as you have that vision of where you want to go,
Have there been
you work your way
times where
through it.
you've created this elaborate routine and something's not clicking right, and you have to restart from scratch again?
Maybe not restart from scratch, but pretty close. At times. Hopefully, not too often. Um, but even through the summer, so as we work through the spring and we really mold the show, even when we get into competitions toward the end of June, we're reacting to what the judges are saying. They're giving us voice recordings for every performance with their feedback, and we'll listen to that. We'll have conversations with them after each event, and really try to talk to them about what they're getting from our show. And
So they're fully transparent then.
absolutely, yeah. The goal is that the judges are actually educators as well. They're giving critique and they're scoring and they're ranking and rating, but they're also giving educational feedback to the staff and the performers to help us improve. So we'll have those conversations, and we'll look at how the audience is reacting. If you built a moment with the idea that 10,000 people are going to get up at this moment and go crazy for you, and they're not doing that, and that happens for the first few shows of the year, you're going to go back and try to look at, okay, why isn't that happening? Our intent isn't obviously reaching fruition. So it's a process. And all the way up until the last day of the year, we're trying to find those little tweaks. So even as you get to the score of 97 or 98, you're still trying to figure out what is the show missing? What could we add? What's this thing that's going to put it over the top? And it's that constant drive for perfection that you know you're never going to reach, but you're going to go for it anyway.
Yeah.
It's another one of those lessons we try to teach the students. You're never going to get 100, but that doesn't stop you from going after it in terms of excellence.
Well, the bar always gets set higher.
Exactly.
And so, yeah, you never reach 100.
It's the moving goalpost.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Now, how many competitions or how many performances are there on average during a year?
Well, Drum Corps International, which is the association under which we all compete and perform, will run over 100 events across the country in the summer. Now there are there's an East Coast track, a West Coast track, a Midwest track.
And does that include the entertainment side too?
No, that's a completely different thing. Yeah. But the Blue Devils will probably perform in 25 to 30 of those events as we travel around the country. Other groups will do about the same. So as these three tracks are kind of going in and out of each other as they travel around the country, we might see one group on a Tuesday night, and then they'll go somewhere and we'll split up, and then we'll reconvene next Sunday. So it kind of leads to some intrigue as far as the scores go and the competition go. It's fun for the fans and the groups to mix it up from night to night, week to week. It's tough for us because we're on the West Coast, so there's only so many places we can go.
Yeah.
We have to go east. So hopefully some groups keep coming west to mix it up a little bit.
Okay. Now let's go ahead and talk about the future. Where do you see the future of Blue Devils? Where would you like to take?
It's a great question. I think what has been built prior to me being a part of the organization is such an incredibly strong foundation. And those philosophies and values are timeless. Nothing changes there. You get the best people in place and set them up to do their jobs really well, and special things are going to happen. You focus on the member and the performer and their experience and make sure that they're having a life-changing, transformative experience, then that's timeless, no matter what we do. I think with that said, the world changes around us. So, for example, we might decide that we need to focus a little bit more on California while we're this worldwide brand. We may want to create other programs where we can make a difference in a new way. I think over the years, the Blue Devils have grown somewhat internally to become this brand and this organization that the whole world knows. And now I think we kind of look in the mirror a little bit, and my predecessor Dave really started this conversation, and we look in the mirror and we'd say, okay, we've built this thing. Now I think it's our responsibility to share it with the world in a new way. We have that responsibility, I think is the key word. And can we take the things that we know and we've learned with this great staff and these great resources and great performers, and can we share it with high school bands? Can we share it with inner city underprivileged programs? Can we share it with the 13-year-old with two left feet who wants to march in the Blue Devils someday, or in a group like that? And can we have more special needs programs? What can we do to go to places and share what we do and what we have experience in? And I think that is where the future goes. Now, at the same time, the Blue Devils are going to be the Blue Devils, and they're going to keep pushing. They're going to keep trying new things. They're going to keep innovating and being excellent. But I think the organization as a whole can continue to reach out further and try new things to contribute to making the world a better place in the way that we can.
That's awesome. That's great. Now, have you guys thought about putting together smaller programs that can be basically copied and pasted with your brand, your ethics across the nation?
Well, we do have an initiative. It's funny you asked that. We do have an initiative called System Blue that's developed over the past 10 years or so. And that really started with education. So as we travel around the country and we stop at a city, we'll invite high school students and teachers to come watch us rehearse and we'll give them sessions with our staff. Sometimes they bring their instruments or their equipment and they perform with us and participate all day long. Again, hoping that what we do can spread. That ripple effect can continue.
And this
grow.
would be for the students and for the school staff?
Yeah, for the band directors and the instructors and even the band parents on how to be a great support system for your band, how to fundraise. Again, we have all this experience in all these different areas, and if we can help, we want to. So that's one piece of it. The other side is we actually develop our own instruments now in some areas, specifically in brass and in percussion. And the idea being, if a high school wants to get new drums or new brass instruments, we're going to do more than just sell them instruments. We're going to show up to their school with our Blue Devils staff, and as they open those boxes, we want to be there. We want to show them how we would play the horn, how we would learn how to teach how to play the horn, and do anything we can to set that group up for long-term success, both in performance and in education, which really go hand in hand.
Now, how can a music director right now get in touch with you guys to do something like that?
They can go to bluedevils.org or systemblue.org. Either of those websites will take them to us, and we'll usually respond to an email within a couple of hours. We really try to be very proactive about if somebody's reaching out for help, we want to help them, and we want to do what we can to support them. And I think the music education community, it's a really tight-knit one, and we have that responsibility, and we know that to give back and to share and to do anything we can, sort of an a la carte menu for a band director to say, hey, I need something.
Yeah.
And we'll go, okay, we can help you with that. And if we can't, we'll find somebody who can.
And one thing that doesn't get a lot of talk, and you see a little bit more and more in the media coming out, but there's a lot of benefits for young people to play instruments from a very young age and to continue playing instruments into their adulthood. Like, more and more studies are coming out. It helps with the development of the brain, neural connections, and I'm sure you know a lot more about the benefits.
Yeah, the benefits are endless, really. I mean, you can look at the scientific aspect of it, right brain, left brain, SAT, ACT scores, college admission. All the stats are out there that being a participant in music in any way, whether it be instrumental, vocal, just getting involved in the arts and in music, makes a difference in a young brain.
And significantly, too.
Yes. That's what the data shows. I think there's also the other side, the qualitative, the interpersonal skills, the ability to work with people, the ability to make mistakes, and it's okay. Because I always told my younger students, if you didn't make a mistake today, you didn't get better. So you have to make mistakes in order to reach that new threshold. That making a mistake, give your neighbor a high five, now go figure out how to fix it and then make a new one.
Yep.
And some of those lessons on how to continuously improve and hold yourself accountable and develop and help a team member or a friend. We have 150 people on the field doing incredibly intricate things down to the inch and down to the nanosecond. And if one of those 150 wasn't fulfilling their part of the team, it'd be dangerous. And I think that's a key portion of that is everybody's pulling the rope in the same direction. Is another way to think about it.
It's amazing how much you depend on other people,
right?
But at the same time, you're being held at the same level of responsibility as everyone else.
Yeah, there's no bench.
Yeah,
we can't put in our top 5 performers for the last minute of the show. No, everybody's all in all the time, and I think that's a really key point to what we do in marching band and in the arts in general. Is everybody is accountable 100% of the time, and that standard of excellence is way up there. And again, we hope that they take that with them in other parts of their lives.
Yeah, that's amazing. I like to think of it like, you ever see those fighter jets or the F-18s, F-16s that are flying and their wings are literally inches away from
Terrifying.
each other? Yeah, but they're so in sync with each other.
Yep.
Same thing. They're completely dependent on each other, and they know that they're also being dependent on.
Right. There's a life lesson there for a young person. Absolutely.
Yeah. And if you look at every aspect, and this goes to any business, even realtor, property management, any business really, it's all about teamwork. I mean, one thing, and I don't want to make this go into real estate talk so much here, but when you're selling a house, there's probably 7, 8 parties involved. Everyone's working together. And really, any business, you break it down, there's always teams. And you have to be able to work in teams. And that's one of the great lessons that you guys teach.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's the goal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I think that is our time. I want to thank you for coming out and doing this podcast here. And we'll go ahead and link up the website. We'll link up a few videos, because some of the videos I saw, you guys had a past, a present, and a future video that I thought was really great, very entertaining. They're short 7-minute videos, but really well done.
Absolutely.
So we'll go ahead and link those up. Any final words you want to add?
First of all, thanks for having me today.
Of course.
And for allowing me to share what we do with the Blue Devils and with BD Performing Arts. And thank you to the community. They're coming from across the country and being a part of different organizations in different places. It's really special here as far as the Blue Devils are concerned. From the places that we get to rehearse, thanks to Tesoro and the oil refinery folks in North Concord, to have space that we can work on every day and get better and better. And from city council to the mayor to the local fans to the local businesses, it's a really special environment for us to be able to function, and we couldn't do it without that support. So if I could ask anybody listening or sharing, come to a show, go to the website, buy a t-shirt, sponsor a kid, and anything you can do to help a program like this to continue to thrive on a local level, it's only going to make us more and more, give us a stronger foundation on that international, worldwide level. And it all starts at home. So thank you to everybody here at home for the amazing support.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you.
Boy, was this episode great. Thank you to everyone that listens to our podcast. If you have a child, please encourage and support them to play any musical instrument. The benefits are just amazing. The data is out there, and they have a blast just playing musical instruments. It helps them grow. It helps them learn. It helps develop the brain. So please encourage and support them. Thank you to Justin for being our guest on today's podcast. A lot of informative information, and again, this was just a great episode. Please visit the Blue Devils website, show your support, and check out their amazing videos. Check out their photos. They have 70,000 photos, and they have videos dating back to 1957 that just show the entire history. It's an amazing website, great archive. And once again, please like, comment, and share this podcast, and make sure to subscribe. Thank you. I really want to thank all of you for listening. It means the world to me, and I hope today's episode provides you value in your day-to-day life. I created this podcast to help showcase the many great people that live in this world and help share some knowledge that I've learned along the way in life. Again, thank you for listening. Check out our sponsors, and I'll catch you on the next episode.